Hello, hello. Welcome to Tea with the Druid, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching a recording. This is Tea with the Druid number 316, entitled Back to the Future, which will all make sense in a little while. But in the meanwhile, Tea with the Druid is brought to you by, my name's Philip Carr-Gomm, and it's brought to you by the Order of Bards, Ovates and Druids. And I can see many people are gathering in the circle in the forest already. Hello, everybody from southern Germany and County Tipperary and Bromley in Kent and Hertfordshire, Normandy and Switzerland and Ferring and Finland. Lovely to see you all. Buckinghamshire, Plattsburgh, New York, Dublin. Welcome. It's good to see you. So as more people arrive, you might like to imagine you're coming into a forest clearing. And there's that lovely hush of expectancy. You know, when people gather, you know you're meeting for an event, and some people are chattering, other people are quiet, but they're gradually coming in and pull up a log or sit on the forest floor, and let's gather around the fire together. And just take this time to just tune in. You might have had a very quiet day or you might have had a busy day, but just take a few moments just to relax and settle into the moment. And get a sense of how you're feeling. Just one word, one or two words that bubble up, just describe how you're feeling in the moment. And then if you'd like to share that with us, we can all get a sense of where we all are and how we're all feeling. And Donna is feeling calm, grateful, frazzled, happy, content, relaxed, gratitude. I'm on top of the world today, best day ever. Intrigued, at peace, buzzing, hungry, sleepy and calm, exhausted and tired, low energy, hopeful, stressed, full and paused, hopeful, warm and content, calm, mixed, happy, uncertain, expectant, equipoise, pensive, relaxed and blessed, in love, calm and at ease, full of wonder, exhausted and hopeful, antsy, upset, happy, hypnagogic at my desk, very relaxed, a little ill and tired, but okay and glad to be here, buzzing, peaceful, questing. What a wonderful collection of words and terms, and the lovely feeling of richness in our circle. So here we are coming towards the end of July, and in, I guess, every spiritual tradition, time is really important. There are special times of the year. There are pilgrimages that occur at special times. There's an interest in how time works, whether the soul survives after death and goes into a different kind of time-space dimension. The whole element of time is of interest. And in Druidry, our interest in time particularly revolves around opening to cyclicity, sensing this importance of cycles in our lives and in the land around us. And also appreciating both the present moment, kind of opening more and more to an appreciation of the present moment, but also of the perspective that time gives and that a study of history gives. One of the interesting things about Druidry is that it's a spirituality that reveres nature, but it also reveres scholarship as well. So that's an interesting kind of combination, I think. And so scholarship, science, history all come within the kind of purview of Druidry. And in that vein, I'd like to introduce you now to somebody who I think you will find very interesting. And I'd like you to welcome him now if I press the right button. And here we have, oh, pressing the wrong button. There, Tim Robin. Hello, Tim.
Hello there, Philip. Nice to see you.
So whereabouts on this beautiful planet are you at the moment?
I'm in wonderful Aix-en-Provence in the south of France. I'm lucky enough to have a wife from here. And this afternoon, I could share, we went to the ancient forest, one of the only ancient original forests down here by Saint-Baume, just near Marseille and Aix-en-Provence. It was absolutely wonderful to see, yew trees that have been there forever. So
fantastic.
What a wonderful day.
Ancient yews. And what is your speciality? What do you do from a sort of profession point of view?
I work for Eurogroup for Animals in Brussels, and that is essentially the lobby group for all animal welfare organizations in Europe, trying to get the legislation into a fit state to take care of animals and essentially, drive sustainability issues. So that's my full-time job, working for Eurogroup for Animals.
Great. Well, what a fantastic job. And in addition to that job, you have a very particular interest, don't you?
Well, yeah. It's a project that's been mulling around. It's been going around in my head for, well, put it this way, a long time. And I'll briefly explain it to you. What do I mean by a long time? Well, some of you might recognize this. This is that's the VHS cassette of David Attenborough's Life on Earth. I watched the TV series when I was 9. It was on the BBC, and in which David Attenborough did something that I hadn't. Well, I was only 9, so I hadn't seen it before, which was a timeline of where would we be if you condense the whole history of Earth into one day? And as you can probably guess, the purpose of that was not only describing the evolution that's happened on this planet, but also getting viewers to see where we are right now. And it's, we evolved a few minutes before midnight on that scale. So that was something that really struck me at that tender age, but also it left me wondering in later years. Now, I've seen a few of these in various guises. They're extremely good tools, but I haven't ever seen one that takes the future of this planet into consideration. They always end now with us. So there's an element of we're at a pinnacle or something like that, perhaps, or we forget that we actually know we can see, we can tell some interesting things about the future simply because of the physics or our current understanding of physics. So, so that's something I mused upon and found. I looked and I searched and I couldn't find one at such timescale that takes the future into account. So I made my own. So that's what this is all about. It's called Life of Earth in a Year, Past, Present, and Future. It's something that I'm developing in my spare time. I really am very keen to contribute it, to basically make it available no restrictions on that for people to use as they see fit, really as a conversation starter, as a way of reflecting on the fact that we're so, let's say in a business environment, so fixated on budgets, on planning, on strategy. We're thinking a lot about the future. And then suddenly when it comes to our own lives, or, in 100 years, 200 years, that all seems to go out the window. So maybe using it in that context as well. But that's essentially what I would like very briefly to present here. And it starts with a bit of audience participation. So I've done it not on a day, but on a year, on an annual calendar. So if you viewers, people participating in this, or participating, you could type into the chat. If you imagine that the Earth its formation was on the 1st of January, and it will be consumed by our dying sun on the 31st of December, so a whole 12 months, from the formation of the Earth until when it will be consumed by the dying sun, what would the date be today?
Okay, so everybody, yes, pitch in what you think the date would be today, and let's see what people come up with. So the beginning of the 1st of January is what? The beginning of the universe?
The beginning of the Earth, yeah.
When the beginning of the Earth, yeah. Yes. And then the 31st is, okay, here we're getting them. March the 15th, 1st of April, 30 Jan, Feb 11th, 5th April, October 7th, April 23rd, March 21st, February the 1st, 30th of May, December 16, July 15, 22 July, 10 August, January 10. They're all over the place. 3 March, exactly. 21 June, 21 April, 20 December, 6 December. Is that enough, Tim?
It's great, and it's very representative of when what people enter on the website that I've created for this, and also when I've presented this to groups. It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. We've got no idea really. Yeah.
So, and the winning answer is the 17th of May.
Aha.
So, in other words, it works quite nicely in a calendar, because the Earth has been around for about 4.5 billion years. Funnily enough, there are various estimations available, but the one that I could see was mostly agreed upon is 7.5 billion years left, which very nicely makes 12 billion years, which fits superbly on a calendar.
Yes, exactly.
So I went with that, and I thought, well, that's good enough for me. So there we are. So what have I done? I've put it all on a poster. There it is. And you can download this poster from the website, but because that is not visible at all, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, that's sharing now.
So there we go.
Yeah, so here we go. You can see here on the screen, you've got the whole of the year from January to the 31st of December. And let's have a bit of a zoom so we can see what's going on here. So there you go. Life of Earth in a year, past, present, and future. So here's the 1st of January with the Earth forming. And of course, this is just an illustration. Of course, the Earth didn't form on one, on this scale one day. It took, there's no way of putting a specific time for it. But just for the purpose of this exercise, we're going with that idea that it formed on a specific time rather than being a very fluid process that it probably was. So we've got, I'm not going to read out all of these. You can go, I'll put the link into the website. You can see it for yourself. But you've got the main elements, or the main items here. You've got moon forming very early on. And then look here, we're up here, not even about the 20th of January, first life forms. So the rocks were, the Earth's crust was hardly even cold when life appears. Bam, it's there almost immediately. And then what happens here, during February and March and April, it's something that apparently the paleontologists call the boring billions, where really, quite frankly, life was not very exciting. But luckily, it had a waste product, luckily for us, it had a waste product, which is oxygen. Yeah, it made the Earth a place that we could then eventually inhabit. So things really, it's very important, but not very developed up until about April, where plants appear, snowball Earth comes. But wait for May. Look what goes on in May. And here it is. It's the Cambrian explosion, and then plants and insects and amphibians, forest, land vertebrates, reptiles, flying insects, dinosaurs, mammals. That all happens in about the first couple of weeks of May. Also, as you can see in red, what happens, we've got explosion, extinction, explosion, extinction, explosion, extinction, explosion, extinction. Earth seems, or life on this planet seems to really do quite well with a good extinction, because then it really bounces back afterwards and to a greater level. So, redistributing the cards, I suppose you could say. 17th of May is then now. And then what happens next? By the way, all of these elements, they're all referenced on the website. Nearly all of these items are coming from Wikipedia's page on the future of life on this planet. And so I'm not saying they're correct. I'm just saying that this is what I've found and seems to be a generally accepted understanding of items in the past or in the future. So, and now this is without any human impact on the planet. So ignoring our impact on the planet, what would happen next is that the sun is basically going to start increasing in luminosity in about 2 weeks on this calendar. And this is after Amasia forming. Apparently it's got a name that was new to me. A new supercontinent that hasn't even formed yet has got a name, Amasia. And then in about the beginning of June, the whole carbon cycle is going to start breaking down and plants are going to go extinct. And then this will lead to more life forms becoming extinct. The Earth's geomagnetic sphere is going to disappear according to predictions. Oceans go, and then this is a crazy one. The sun's habitable zone moves outside the Earth's orbit. Then essentially, zoom out a bit, the Earth is one great hot rock around the sun until it finally gets vaporized in, let's say, in about 7.5 billion years. So if we look at the whole thing, it goes from one hot rock, very quickly life forming, being the superb place we know now. And on this scale, it seems, we've only got 6 weeks left, and that's we, as in all life forms. Vertebrates would have much less time than that. However, I don't want to put a downer on everybody at the beginning of the week. That still gives life on this planet a billion years to go. That's an awful long time. So that's that. So that's really what one side of the poster is about. On the second side of it, on the flip side of it, you can actually see, I zoom into there we go. Yes, you can see that. I zoom into something that actually makes sense to us. So if we zoom in from today, so either side of midnight, we've got the last and the next hours. So you can see early apes, hominins, Australopithecus, modern humans, cooking, bang, there's now. And then the next events on this scale, that's actually still quite a bit far out for us. So let's zoom in a bit more. Yeah, again, in the center, we've got now what's happened in the last minute. Well, we've had the height of the last ice age, Stonehenge being built, Europeans moving to other continents, and then some other things that are predicted. For example, the Sahara Desert becoming tropical in 15,000 years there. And then let's zoom in even more, the last and the next seconds. And you can see things happening just before now and then just after. For example, according to the United Nations, the human population stabilizing or peaking at about 10.9 billion people in 2100. So there we are. So that is the project. It's called Life of Earth in a Year, Past, Present and Future. It's a conversation starter, and it is something that I've developed and I want to make available to you in your communities or your groups or personally to interact with and to use however you see it might be useful in the discussions and debates that you're having. So lots of feelings from this arise when I'm looking at it, but I'd very much like to see or to hear what your feelings are before I share mine. You know, what does this type of a view of our place in this timeline give you? What feelings does it leave you with?
Tim, thank you so much. And already we have a response from Jasmine here. Can you read that on the screen?
Astronomically, a super interesting visualization. However, my fear with these condensed displays is that always they give people reason to be more apathetic in our current reality of a habitable planet. Yes, Jasmine, that's something I have discussed quite a lot with people. It's well, what's the point then? So what? You know, what does it matter if that type of idea? And I think that's a common feeling. Or a very understandable feeling, and one that we shouldn't ignore at all. It's this project does scare the living daylights out of some people I've shared it with. It's too much of a step backwards for them, and they feel very small in the big expanse of things. I remember when my wife and I showed the moons around Jupiter to a friend through our telescope, and our friend got really freaked out about how small they are in this big scheme. So I think that's something that we should welcome. However, there we go, Danielle. You took the words out of my mouth. It makes life seem all the more precious. Yeah.
Yes. Let's have a look. Here's another one here. Asta. It makes me feel sad to think about the end of this wonderful world, even if it's so far in the future. But I also feel appreciative to be alive now so that I can experience it. And I think one of the reactions I get when I think of this, Tim, is knowing that I can have two feelings at once. For a long time, I used to think that I could only feel one thing at a time, but actually I can feel both sad. Gosh, it's all this beautiful, wonderful world and life on it is going to disappear, and I can feel sad about that, but also feel a sort of a wonder in this extraordinary display, rather like, I suppose, the same sort of feelings that you get when you actually look at a child. You know that child's going to grow up, and if you want to carry the story on, I mean, they're eventually going to die, because we all die. So or you look at a rose, and you know in a week's time that rose is going to be gone. So that sort of appreciating the transience of life is I think a nice part of being human, really, and is a feeling that I'm not discounting either feeling, actually. You know, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
We've got, well, maybe you'd like Philip to share any more that have come in.
Well, let's have a look. Yes, I'm just trying to. Let's have a look. Sad but so grateful. It's the it's the total ultimate perspective vortex. And then I find it hard to conceptualize existence ceasing to exist. And then Iris adds in a sort of caveat here. Nobody really knows the future. We never, all of this has a caveat in it, doesn't it? This is according to our current understanding of science. And of course, it posits that the material world, if we can get esoteric here, the material world is the only world that exists. What if there are other dimensions? And one of the approaches that I think is so interesting is the one that comes out of the Dharmic traditions in the East of Jainism and Buddhism and Hinduism, that sees these great cycles of time. And in the Hindu tradition, they're called yugas. And I this morning I thought I'd check how long they last, because I've forgotten. They last for 4,320,000 years. And we're in the Kali Yuga, which is lasting 432,000 years. So, and that's the sort of descending arc, which they talk about in Jainism as the Avasarpini. And we're in a descending arc, which takes 21,000 years. And when we get to the bottom of that, things are going to be pretty miserable. But we can take heart in the fact that an upward cycle called an Utsapini is going to happen. And for 21,000 years, there's going to be a wonderful sort of gradual increase in happiness and prosperity and all the rest of it. There are other ways of looking at time and the passing of time. But let's see Emily here. I feel it's rather comforting, to be honest, that we're part of something much, much bigger. Yes, it is all going to disappear one day, but if something isn't set to last, it makes it all the more special. Yes, again, that appreciation of transience. Yes. Atma is everlasting and creation is finite. So there's another image they use in the East of the sort of the days and nights of Brahm, or the in-breath and the out-breath of Brahm. So he breathes out, this great deity, the source of all life, and this takes millions of years of the creation of the entire universe, and then breathes in for millions of years, and it all disappears, and then it all comes back again. So because, of course, the question, what we don't know is what's going to happen at the end of your chart.
Correct.
A whole new cycle could begin for all we know. Yeah.
And
Tim, I was going to say, could you tap in your website so that people can have a look at it? And I believe it's interactive, isn't it?
Correct. Yeah. And really what I would, obviously you can play the game but you already know the answer. But if you share it with somebody else, they can go in and have a guess themselves. But there's no restriction. You don't have to do that. You can get to the poster or go through each stage on the web pages that I've illustrated. The main thing is the feelings page. And there are a lot of very nice comments by people who have already looked at this project, and they've left them on the website. So I really would be delighted if anybody listening either now or listening to the recording, if you would add your comments on the website or on the YouTube channel or Facebook, because that's really what it's all about. Is that it's a conversation starter. This is phase one of the project, I would say. that I've now completed. So it's very much a work in progress. What do I mean by that? Well, it's a tool that is ready to be used. And the reason why I'm so appreciative, Philip, of you letting me present it to this community is because it's such an appropriate forum where people are interested in this type of reflection. I can see that from the comments, and perhaps have groups themselves. Perhaps Obod would consider on how it could use it, and if you want me to be involved, do. Otherwise, just use it yourself and just credit me somewhere. So it's total copy left, and it's available in French as well. So for those of you who happen to prefer that language, that's where my linguistic abilities end. So I'm afraid I won't be adding loads of other languages. But for the moment, yes, please, I would be very pleased to hear your feelings. And yeah, I would only echo what's been said in the chat, that it leaves me with a sense of awe and wonder at the fact that it's such a whole, so many circumstances have had to come together. So the stardust, the base materials that make up this planet had to come together, and the circumstances had just to be right to produce this cool, I don't know, rock music, Belgian beer,
and in fact,
plants.
I realized, Tim, that it's rather appropriate that I learnt about your work at Samhain, which is the time of no time in the Druid tradition. In the Druid tradition, we have 3 days in which time ceases to exist for us. That's the idea. And then we do a ceremony. And I was at a wonderful Obod gathering in France, and that's where I met your son, who told me about your work and passed me your letter and so on. And of course, I hadn't thought of that before, but of course, it's very fitting that it should have been at that special time of no time. Yes. So have you typed it in yet?
Yeah, I popped it into the chat box. Perhaps it's the one only you can see.
Okay. Maybe are you able to say the website? Is it easy to? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's www.life-of-earth.org.
There we go. Just in case it didn't come up on the, I didn't see it.
Lifeoferarth.org with dashes in.
Lifeoferarth.org. Lovely. Well, Tim, it's been so interesting. We've gone past our time, and we won't do a meditation. Instead, what I'll do is I'll tell you the meditation that I think might be interesting to do in conjunction with this, which is to I've got a picture somewhere. Have a look at this picture here. And I think chestnut trees are particularly beautiful. And, they have these very large flowers, which are kind of easy to visualize in a way. If you haven't seen a chestnut tree flower or need reminding of it, just go online and have a look at it. And go into the grove and just imagine that you're watching, like time-lapse photography. Just get settled in your sacred grove, in your clearing in the forest, and then gradually see bare trees at winter developing their leaves, and then the leaves getting bigger and full, and then the flowers forming, and then gradually becoming fruit, and then the fruit with the seeds, these wonderful chestnut seeds and these fantastic prickly casings that they have. And then imagine seeing those falling down into the earth and germinating and then sprouting, and then travel around and to the winter again, see some snow falling, the leaves falling in the autumn, and just enjoy that experience of cyclicity. We've seen a linear presentation, if you like, one way of experiencing time. This is just another way of experiencing time. And so, Tim, thank you so much. We'll have you on again.
Thank you very much.
In the meanwhile, thank you so much for sharing your research with us. I'm so glad you've done this.
Great.
And
very much look forward to hearing from you and all the others listening to this. Please do. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Tim. So goodbye, everybody. If you're a member of the order, you can dive into the hearth now and gather around the smaller fire and circle there in the forest. And I'll pop over there. And in the meanwhile, you have a wonderful week. Many, many blessings. Much love. See you again next week. Okay. Bye.